Good morning, children. Today we'll have the recapitulation of Chapter 1 Matter in Our Surroundings, and later we'll have the continuation of the chapter. What is matter? Anything that occupies space and has mass and is felt by sense is called matter. According to Indian ancient philosopher, matter is the form of five basic elements: the Pancha Tattva, air, earth, fire, sky, and water. Then, what are the characteristics of the particles of matter? Particles are made of tiny particles. Matter is made of tiny particles. Vacant spaces exist between particles. Particles are in continuous motion. Particles are held together by forces of attraction. The three different states of matter generally we know are solid, liquid, and gas. Actually, there are five states of matter. First one is solid, second one is liquid, third one is gas. As you all know, all these three from third class onwards. The fourth one is plasma, and the fifth one is Bose-Einstein condensate. Let us go through each state of matter in brief. If you look at the solid, the particles on the screen, the violet balls, you imagine them as particles. They have fixed mass, volume, and shape. Interparticle distance are least. They have very less space between the particles. Particles are incompressible in solids. They are highly dense and do not diffuse. Interparticle forces of attraction are strongest. The constituent particles are very closely packed. Now let us go through the state of matter liquid. If you observe, there is some space between the particles of liquid. Not fixed shape but fixed volume and mass. So liquids interparticle distance are larger than solid. Liquids are almost incompressible. Density of low Density is lower than solids and can diffuse. Interparticle forces of attraction are weaker than solids. Liquids constituent particles are less closely packed. Now let us get into the third state of matter called gas. Gas is neither fixed shape nor fixed volume. Gases interparticle distance are largest. If you observe this, there is a lot of gap between the particles. Gases are highly compressible. Density is least and diffuse. Interparticle forces of attraction are weakest. Constituent particles in gas are free to move about. The fourth state of matter is plasma. Plasma is an ionized gas. A plasma is a very good conductor of electricity and is affected by magnetic fields. Plasma, like gases, have an indefinite shape and an indefinite volume. Example like ionized gas. The fifth state of matter here is Bose-Einstein condensate. A Bose-Einstein condensate is a state of matter that can arise at very low temperatures. The scientists who worked with the Bose-Einstein condensate received a Nobel Prize for their work in 1995. The Bose-Einstein condensate is all about molecules that are really close to each other, even closer than atoms in a solid. Then, what are the properties of solids? We have already discussed in the above. Now, interchange in state of matter. Water can exist in three states of matter, that is, ice in solid state, water in liquid state, and water vapor in gaseous state. Solid as ice, liquid as familiar water, and gas as water vapor. Then what is the effect of change of temperature on state of matter? On increasing temperature, the kinetic energy of particles of the matter increase and they begin to vibrate with a higher energy. Therefore, the interparticle force of attraction between the particles reduces and particles get detached from their position and begin to move freely. As a result, the state of matter begins to change. Solids undergo a phase change to form liquids. Similarly, liquids also undergo a phase change to form gases. What is meant by melting? Melting is nothing but state change of solid into liquid. Just matter converting from solid state into liquid state is called melting. Then what is melting point? Melting point is a fixed point of temperature or constant temperature or specific temperature, a particular temperature at which solid melts to become liquid at the atmospheric pressure. At melting point, these two phases, that is solid and liquid, are in equilibrium. That is, at this point, both solid state and liquid state exist simultaneously. Then what do you understand by boiling and boiling point? Boiling is also same. It is just a state change of liquid into gas. The matter of liquid changes into gas, that is called boiling. Then what is meant by boiling point? Boiling point is the fixed point or constant or specific or particular temperature at which the vapor pressure of liquid is equal to atmospheric pressure. Latent heat of fusion. This is a very important one. It is the amount of heat energy that is required to change 1 kg of solid into liquid at atmospheric pressure at its melting point. Latent heat of vaporization. It is the amount of heat energy that is required to change 1 kg of liquid into gas at atmospheric pressure at its boiling point. Here, let us teach you what is the meaning of latent. Latent meaning hidden, Hidden. What is hidden heat then? See, when you put a thermometer into ice while it is melting, the temperature of ice and the temperature of water is the same while ice is melting. So ice requires some temperature or some heat to change into liquid. That heat absorbed by ice to change into liquid is not shown in the thermometer, but heat is consumed by the ice. That heat which is not shown in the thermometer is called latent heat. In the same way, when water changes into water vapor, that fixed point of temperature for water when it is changing into water vapor is 100 degrees centigrade. So at 100 degrees centigrade fixed point of temperature, water changes its state from water to water vapor without change in the scale of thermometer at 100 degrees centigrade. Then where is this heat coming from? The heat which is used to change from water to water vapor, that heat which cannot be seen by us but used by water to change vapor into vapor, is called latent heat of vaporization. Another important concept in this first chapter is sublimation. Children, you might have come across camphor in your house, naphthalene balls in your houses. You just place them on your cupboards and then try to see them after a month. They disappear. In the same way, you might be having some room refreshers in your washrooms as well as your drawing rooms. Those things, when you place them, they are heavy with some substance, solid substance, but after few days you can see nothing in them. What happens to a solid? They change into vapor directly without changing into liquid. So the transform of substance directly from solid phase to gaseous phase without changing into liquid phase or vice versa is called sublimation. Here is a diagram showing ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride is a solid paste which is taken into a bowl and heated. So due to heat, ammonium chloride gets vaporized directly without changing into liquid, and when it touches the cooler parts of the funnel, it solidifies. So from solid to gas and again from gas to solid. This process of changing solid to gaseous state without changing into liquid state is called sublimation. sublimation, sublimation. Then what is the effect of change of pressure? Increasing of or decreasing the pressure can change the state of matter. Applying pressure and reducing temperature can liquefy gases, just like your compressed natural gas or LPG in your house, the gas which you use for cooking, liquid petroleum gas. There, liquid petroleum gas has both liquid and gas. What do you mean by that? The gas, when it is compressed, changes to liquid state. So solid carbon dioxide is stored under high pressure and it becomes solid carbon dioxide, gets converted directly to gaseous state on decrease of pressure to 1 atmosphere without coming into liquid state. This is the reason that solid carbon dioxide is also known as dry ice. So children, I say solid carbon dioxide is called dry ice. When you touch this dry ice, you can feel your hand is still dry. That's why even though it appears like ice, it doesn't wet your hand. That's why it is called a dry ice. What is meant by latent heat I already covered previously. Next, evaporation and boiling. Particles of matter are always moving and are never at rest. At a given temperature in any gas, liquid or solid, there are particles with different amounts of kinetic energy. In the case of liquids, a small fraction of particles at the surface have higher kinetic energy, is able to break away from the forces of attraction of other particles and gets converted into vapor. This phenomenon of change of liquid into vapors at any temperature below its boiling point is called evaporation. You might be observing your maids or your mother cleaning the floor. When they clean the floor with some Dettol or disinfectant, this liquid gets vaporized without supplying any heat. So the liquid getting into vapor state on its own below its boiling point is called vaporization. What really happens during the vaporization? What are the factors affecting evaporation? The rate of evaporation increases with an increase of surface area. This is the best example is a cup and a saucer. The surface of cup, the liquid surface in a cup is very less and it takes a lot of time for us to sip the tea in the cup. But when you pour the same tea into a saucer, the surface area of liquid in the saucer increases and the heat escapes. So it vaporizes. The particles on the surface take the heat from the liquid and vaporize. So when you remove heat from a substance, it becomes cool. So it gives more comfort and makes us sip tea faster in a saucer than in a cup. Next one, with the increase of temperature, more number of particles get enough kinetic energy to go into vapor state. What is the effect of humidity? Humidity is the amount of water vapor present in air. The air around us cannot hold more than a definite amount of water vapor at a given temperature. If the amount of water in the air is already high, then the rate of evaporation decreases. For this, I would like to give you best example of drying the clothes. So when the humidity is very high, it takes long time for our clothes to dry. So the washed linen takes a lot of time to dry up during humidity time. So the evaporation rate is less and it takes a lot of time to dry up. Now wind speed is another factor which affects evaporation. For this, I would like to give you an example. Take 2 cups of spirit or petrol. Place 1 cup in a room without switching on the fan. Another cup into a room where the fan is switched on. Observe in which cup the petrol or spirit evaporates faster. Yeah, definitely. The cup which is left under the fan, the petrol evaporates faster because the speed of the wind helps in evaporation faster. So wind speed is, the higher the wind speed, the more evaporation. Evaporation causes cooling. Yes, definitely. The particles of liquid absorb energy from the surroundings to regain the energy lost during evaporation. Evaporation versus boiling. Before this, evaporation causes cooling. So I should give you one example. What happens when you are sweating and come under a fan? As the sweat from your body evaporates, do you feel cool? Yeah, definitely you feel cool. This sweat which is on the surface of your body takes the heat from your body and escapes. So what happens when you lose heat to the sweat? You get cooled and you feel comfortable. Another example is, why do pigs toil in the mud during hot summer? General pigs don't have sweat glands and during hot summer they roll in the clay, wet clay, wherever there are pits. So what happens when they roll in wet clay? The moisture present in the wet clay gets evaporated, taking the heat from the pig. The moisture in the mud escapes. So when heat is removed from the pig, the pig feels comfortable. It feels cool. That's why they toil in the mud during hot summer. Then, why do dogs pant during hot summer? Dogs put their tongue out and pant, P-A-N-T, pant. Why do they do this during hot summer? Because the moisture present on the long tongue of the dog evaporates, keeping the tongue cool. After some time, repeatedly, the dog keeps on taking the tongue inside and again exposing it to atmosphere so that the moisture on the tongue evaporates, keeping the dog cool. The other one is, why do the water gets cooled in the pot, earthen pot, or you can call it as matka, M-A-T-K-A. When we fill a earthen pot with water, the tiny pores in the pot allow the water to pass through and come to the surface of the pot. So those particles of the water which are coming out through the pores of pot take the heat from the water which is inside the pot and escape into the atmosphere. So when these particles which take the heat or remove the heat from the pot and escape, they are removing the heat from the water which is inside the pot, and automatically the water in the pot gets cooled. What happens to a substance or to a body if you remove heat? It gets cooled. Evaporation versus boiling. Let us come back to the screen. Boiling is a bulk phenomenon. Particles from the bulk or whole of the liquid changes into vapor state. Evaporation is a surface phenomenon. Particles from the surface gain energy to overcome the forces of attraction present in the liquid and change into the vapor state. So boiling requires supply of heat, but evaporation doesn't require any supply of heat, but it happens below its boiling point, and boiling takes place only at boiling point. Let us come to next topic, temperature. What is temperature? It is the degree of hotness or coldness. Temperatures are measured in two scales here. In this 9th grade, you will be learning about Kelvin scale and Celsius scale, the relation between them. Kelvin is the SI unit of temperature. 0 degrees centigrade is equal to 273.16 Kelvin, but here we consider as 273 degree K. So we take 0 degree centigrade is equal to 273 Kelvin. Here SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. Kelvin scale of temperature has always positive sign and hence regarded as better scale than Celsius. If 0 degrees centigrade is the lower fixed point on a thermometer, 100 degrees centigrade is the boiling point of water. 0 degrees centigrade is equal to 273 degree Kelvin and 100 degrees centigrade is equal to 373 degree Kelvin. Atmosphere. So atmospheric pressure is a unit of measuring pressure. 1 atmosphere or 1 atm. The SI unit of pressure is Pascal. Remember, this Pascal, Celsius, Kelvin are the names of the scientists. In order to honor them, their names are given for the units of physical quantities in physics. So the atmospheric pressure at sea level is 1 atmosphere and is taken as the normal atmospheric pressure. So what is the relation between degree centigrade and degree Kelvin? We can take an equation. K is equal to 273 plus degree K. I repeat, K is equal to 273 plus degree C. You can use this equation. If degree C is given, you can find degree K. If degree K is given, you can substitute and know degree centigrade. And that's all for today. Thank you. And this is the end of the chapter 1 of your 9th grade. Thank you.